Все-таки я почну з короткими вітальними словами. Отже, ми будемо говорити про питання проблем, викликів і можливостей жіночого підприємництва в Україні. Я, як економіст, вважаю...
So we'll talk about women's entrepreneurship. As an economist, I actually think that this whole thing with entrepreneurship is more an economic dimension. You know, it falls under that. So the problems that Ukrainian entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs feel, and those have today in many sectors, more than half of these we have out of all the business that exists. It's not just the problem of discrimination or verbal abuse. This is the disproportionate labor market, unequal opportunities. People who could have and should have been developing themselves, creating innovations and jobs at maximum point, developing the economy, due to so many reasons. Some reasons are the same for all entrepreneurs, some reasons, as we will show you, some reasons tend to be very specific with some gender context. There's no such opportunity, or maybe these opportunities are limited or suppressed. Respectively, any state sector activities and non-state sector activities as well, and business associations activities, and the entrepreneurs themselves, of course, men in business who can be partners or let's say colleagues. It may give a great positive effect. So we will present the survey today and talk about this. The survey that our team, with the support of the British government, our team was working on that survey for more than 6 months. So yeah, I'm grateful to everyone who managed to find some time on Tuesday morning to actually come and to work with us, to listen to that story. Valeria Ionan, she'll be online with us. Unfortunately, she'll run away very fast. Integration issues. So, greetings, colleagues. Unfortunately, I can't see you well. I only heard wonderful voice of Maxim. So I do hope that you can see me very well and hear me very well as well. So I apologize because I couldn't join you personally, join this event. I just couldn't. But I did truly hope that today you'll have some benefit from me as well. Some useful information. I'll be very brief. In Ministry of Digital Transformation, we're trying to create the most digital country in the world. We are called as the state the tiger of digital transformation, not just DIA application, the whole ecosystem of DIA products. So national platform, DIA Osvita, DIA City, DIA Engine, DIA Business. We'll talk about today. We'll talk more in details. And we also work on MRIA. Recently, we've finished the public discussions for the strategy and innovation win-win. So I do hope that soon we'll approve it at level of cabinet. So it's important to say as well that development and women's entrepreneurship for us in Ministry of Digital has always been a priority in the framework of DIA Business Project. And since the start of full-scale invasion, this has become even more important. By the way, since February 2023, each newly established individual entrepreneur is a woman. So we used to have like 49%, but now we have much more of women among individual entrepreneurs. In the framework of a national project on entrepreneurship development, DIA project, with partners, we create so many initiatives to support women entrepreneurs. It's very convenient now. At DIA Business Gov.ua, we have now this opportunity for every Ukrainian woman to find all the information. So it's a separate chapter called Women's Entrepreneurship. There's information about educational programs, grants, links, references to financial products. You can actually find various types of funding. Blog with free of charge consultations, services, free of charge online school for entrepreneurs, analytics, dashboards on export, looking for partners abroad, and even opportunity to apply and take part in trade missions, being present at these exhibitions and trade fairs. So, Dia Business, Dia.gov.ua, you can find it, Women Entrepreneurship chapter or relevant chapter. So, in 2023, we launched so many offline programs. Among these, we had acceleration program, for example, Vidvazhna or The Brave, grant program Mitsnist, national acceleration program Vlasna, by the way, it's still ongoing, and Pochatok, the start. So this program has become groundbreaking with so many registrations and a lot of activity from participants. We shall not stop. In 2024, we'll resume, so please check the updates, and of course you have to apply. Ukrainian women learned to adapt very quickly to critical conditions and function and achieve really great results. So we do understand that creating your own business at full-scale invasion conditions, it requires resilience, a lot of bravery, and our women do have that. So for us to successfully implement all the initiatives to support women entrepreneurship and to understand what is relevant for Ukrainian women entrepreneurs, we wanted to analyze the state of women entrepreneurship in Ukraine and to understand what's worrying, what to update, what to improve, what should we focus on. So together with the Ministry of Economy, together with Kyiv School of Economics and Entrepreneurship and Export Development Office, we had a survey launched. What are the needs and problems of women entrepreneurs in Ukraine? So it was really interesting to familiarize. For me, it was important to confirm the fact that Dia Business is popular among entrepreneurs, and half of respondents use that. Quite often, to get a consultation or to pass some online course, look for some ideas and funding opportunities. The survey tells us that among the key problems, the priority ones, the consequences of economic crisis, high competitiveness, problems with engaging clients and additional investments, and loss of key partners and suppliers. As I told you, in 2024, we will continue providing these grant programs, which will be aimed also to handle those problems I mentioned. In particular, Vidvazhna 2, the second iteration, export area will be developed, and we will have even more and more of Ukrainian spots at these fair trades abroad. Andriy Remizov will tell more about this. What are the plans for 2024? Update substantially the Dia Business portal, expand the network to support entrepreneurs in Dia Business, and implementing the solutions under the strategy of sustainable development by 2027. So, education for entrepreneurs and education for women entrepreneurs, according to OECD, has become one of the priority issues. We've demonstrated huge progress there in so many indicators, but it was really, really nice that the progress was noticed in these areas as well. So I will not take more of your time. I'm grateful to all of you who actually joined us now. My big gratitude to everyone helping us to handle that survey. We had that survey carried out with the support of the British government. Kyiv School of Economics is one of the executives. So we are so grateful to you for supporting that survey, and thank you for supporting entrepreneurship in Ukraine. Thank you so much, staying in touch, and we'll see you again in Dia Business, I guess. Thank you, Valeria. And now I pass the floor to Ms. Tatiana Berezhna. Please, welcoming words from you, Deputy Minister of Economy. She is handling actually those matters that we'll talk about. Thank you so much, Maxim. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and even those watching and listening to us online. So we understand that today Ukrainian economy and Ukraine as a state is trying to overcome those challenges it never had before. We understand that women today, they now have more duties, more responsibilities, more difficulties than before, because sometimes they have to run their own businesses. Sometimes, well, some of these are relocated. They have to start their life abroad from the scratch, or plan to return. And in these circumstances, there are more duties and responsibilities for women. But of course, at the same time, we need to have more and more opportunities provided to them. So in the Ministry of Economy in particular, we try to provide these opportunities to show how each Ukrainian woman and entrepreneur, the one who is dreaming of becoming one, like every Ukrainian citizen can actually start a business, and upgrade one's life easily. So we are so happy today that this event is taking place. I'll briefly tell about the opportunities that Ministry of Economy is giving, but still, I want to stress on this. All state policies, all state strategies are data-based. We don't live in a vacuum, in a bubble. And we realize that for us to design a relevant and efficient program, we have to communicate to people, talk to people who require that. The beneficiaries get the feedback from them. And we need to have that feedback to make it better, eventually, the program. Thank you for the survey. Unfortunately, I don't have a speech to say thank you to everyone, but I'm grateful to everyone who was engaged in that. Grant program Yerobota, by the way, implemented by the Ministry of Economy, is quite an efficient one for Ukrainian entrepreneurs. We're popularizing it, and still there are people who don't know about it, who are unaware. So we are grateful for any platform where we can remind you of that program. By the way, today in the cabinet, the act shall be voted that provides funding for 2025. 4.5 billion hryvnias of funding. It means that there will be some opportunities. It will be available for everyone who prepares a nice grant application, and you just have to apply it at the portal. So next year we plan to give more than 15,000 grants, власна справа, own business, 250,000 hryvnias each, grants for processing enterprises up to 8 million hryvnias, 1,000 grants for veterans and spouses. This is quite a popular, this is a new thing, but it's becoming more and more popular. So all the opportunities, as my colleague Valeria said, you can actually find all the information on the website. DIA, or just Google the keywords, grant for your business, processing grant, whatever. So I always stress on this, that we have to get rid of those stereotypes that state is doing everything to say, oh, in your application it's wrong, we won't give you the grant. No, it's not like that. Why? Because every grant that's provided, every job, every new job created based on that grant, taxes paid by grantees, these are KPIs in MOE. And we definitely are so happy when we get those applications and every grant that we provide. I just want to remind you that we live in a situation when we have to clearly understand that defense capacity of the country, money that we do provide to our defenders, money that we pay as taxes, so we just have to understand, each of us has to understand that paying taxes, when you pay taxes as a businessman or businesswoman, this is something that brings victory closer. Don't ignore that. We also would we as a ministry would like to stress again that grant programs for one's own business, this is not the only opportunity that we actually provide to simplify the process for you and give you more results. You also have a program, for example, on compensation of expenses for wages, for IDP's wages. So when an employer employs a person, an IDP like a woman, a man, whatever, doesn't matter, an employer gets a reimbursement, for the first 6 months of the IDP's employment, up to 2 minimum wages. So this is quite a substantial support for business. And last year, 16,000 employers used that, and program is still functional in 2024. We understand that now it's such a stage in our history when more and more people with disabilities will have coming to labor market. Unfortunately, today, only 13% of these people are have the working capacity, meaning those who are in labor market, present labor market. So in Ministry of Economy, we have a program to reimburse the expense for equipping the working space.
Thank you very much, Tatiana, for taking this time, because I understand that, right now we'll have to be running to this meeting at the Cabinet of Ministers, which is so important. But I still suppose that in this couple of minutes, all of our presentees have been able to see that the government has programs to offer that you can take advantage of, including women entrepreneurs. And just jump-starting, I would like to say that there are very fine opportunities, but they are not always perceived positively. They are not always there for people to hear about. They do not always work as efficiently as we would like that to happen. So this is the story that we'll be able to discuss in a while. But again, it's important to understand that these opportunities are there. Also, as we are awaiting for Ms. Wendy De Luca to be with us online, I can tell you one thing. The situation in Ukraine is pretty similar to the situation in well-developed economies just yesterday, perhaps even today, given the difference in time. In the United States, they're celebrating the 15th anniversary of the Act or Law on Equal Opportunities in Salaries. And Joe Biden has just got published the statistic about the gender gap in salary payments is about 16%. 84 cents is something which is paid to women, where men are paid $1 in the US. Therefore, you can see the whole world has ground to cover. Ukraine belongs pretty much in the same cohort. And trust me, it's not something to say that we have everything super wonderful, but it's just to say that all of the solutions and options which are available and workable in other developed countries, this stands to logic that they have to be applied and get to work here in Ukraine.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. So now, with great pleasure, I give the floor to Wendy De Luca, who is the head of Good Governance Fund Ukraine, and basically she's in charge of funding all our work and this research included. And this is yet another opportunity for me to say big thank you to the United Kingdom as a strategic partner of Ukraine in so many areas, including women, entrepreneurship, and inclusion. Thank you, Wendy. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and my big thanks to you as well. Dear ministers, director, entrepreneurs, and other distinguished guests, it is my great pleasure to be here today as we share our recent research into the needs of women entrepreneurs and consider how we might help them, their communities, and Ukraine's economy. The war causes many challenges for the Ukrainian SME sector to overcome, but everyone has been so impressed by the spirit of Ukraine's entrepreneurs to innovate, survive, and thrive. The UK understands the vital role of SMEs in spurring innovation and helping the economy, an economy that has shown remarkable recent growth. Congratulations to all of you here today who've all played a part to make this happen. In 2023 in Ukraine, 50% of newly registered private entrepreneur companies were started by women, according to the data collected by our experts. So women entrepreneurs are already making a major contribution to stimulate job creation, enhance productivity, to the overall economic development of the country. The UK is steadfast in our commitment to ensuring Ukraine's economic stability and growth. UK support such as economic advice, export advice, support to SMEs and loan guarantees are playing an important role. As part of our ongoing support to the SME sector, we wanted to specifically look at the needs of women and those who are also veterans and disabled. This survey data is helping us to support them. Most recently, the UK's Good Governance Fund launched the Women's Business Empowerment Programme, GROW, to support women entrepreneurs residing in war-affected communities in Ukraine. 15 so far have been chosen for training and export support in developing their businesses. They learned about improving efficiency through effective management, as well as how to attract grant funds for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. Interestingly, the survey shows that respondents had a higher level of trust in the state if they'd used the DIA business website, business.dia.gov.ua, which is a fantastic tool. Users reported using it to find business ideas, take courses, find information on exporting, find opportunities. So I encourage all SMEs to take a look and take advantage of it. Your government has been working very hard to produce such a wonderful tool, so please do take advantage of it because we all want you to succeed. I noted that only 15% of respondents take a loan from the bank, that most use their own savings or money from their family. I want to ensure you all know about the new National Bank of Ukraine's dynamic website that we supported, which can help you to manage your money, harazd.bank.gov.ua. Please tell everyone about it and take a look yourself. Thanks to all who are supporting this work, the Ukrainian government, the teams at Kyiv School of Economics, APT and Alinea. And finally, I want to send my words of support to Ukraine's businesswomen. The British government looks forward to continuing to make a positive impact for you in Ukraine. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Дякую.
Dear Wendy, thank you so much for finding time to talk to all the participants, and thank you for supporting our work. We promise to do a lot of other great things together. Thanks.
Thank you.
І, шановні колеги, тепер
Now, dear colleagues, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Andrei Remezov, who is in charge of the Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office in Ukraine. This is the major institution which is here to implement all of this policy to support businesses that has been spoken about briefly and that we are about to speak in greater detail. So, Andrei, please come up on the stage. Don't be standing next to me. I'm just a moderator, that's why I'm standing aside. Thank you, Maxim. Greetings and welcome to all of our participants, men and women. In summary, concerning the presentations made by the previous speakers and their welcoming remarks. In fact, our office is the organization responsible for the implementation of all of the policies developed in this regard. Our task is to create as many specific opportunities for entrepreneurs, both men and women, in charge of their businesses, and that's something that we do as part of DIA Business. This is something that we are developing with the Ministry of Digital Transformation. It's our joint program, and DIA Business is a separate website. It's a network of physical infrastructure where you can go in regions and draw on some free of charge services, get some training services, etc. If we compare it against the events before 2020, with what we have available for women nowadays, for women who are running their own businesses, I can tell you that there are a lot of systemic opportunities to support. Just as Ms. Tatiana Berezhna has aptly said, because she has a growth of responsibility, so this has to be reflected in the number of growing opportunities. Unfortunately, in the previous years, we didn't have as much financial support, training programs available, and I can see that we are enjoying a qualitative increase in the number of the quantity of such programs. Just as the speakers have already said, Portal DIA Business is the place where you can locate all of the available opportunities and programs in order to have your businesses develop. And our office team, on a daily basis, monitor the whole information space concerning the things that pop up, concerning the businesses that women get to start. And in essence, we get to see that in every town or city we can see grant, education, training programs coming up from private organizations funded by private and state organizations. So I advise you to go to this website, because there you will be able to find a lot of interesting new information that you may not have heard about previously, as well as the list of organizations supportive of women entrepreneurs in regions. And today we have some representatives of such organizations here with us. helping there in fields those women who would like to develop their businesses. This is critical. And the research that will be presented by the Kyiv School of Economics today, it really does confirm our analytics likewise, because according to our analytics, the portal of Dear Business is being utilized by more than 65% of women, which means they are visitors on our web portal, and they are taking advantage of all of the programs and software available on it. So this is a cool number indeed, and this is very positive feedback for us. And the research being presented to you today will definitely be utilized when we set up different training, grant programs, and as we support all of these activities on behalf of our office. Export as a topic, it really plays a significant role. Today we are announcing our new trade mission to Sweden for the representatives of food industry. And we are getting all of this published on the website of our office, which facilitates the development of export and entrepreneurship. So all of the women responsible for producing goods, women who would like to go into export, are already actively engaging in that. So definitely go online on our website, because we make monthly announcements concerning trips abroad. We organize different Ukrainian pavilions and expos where you can become really visible and make a claim about your own company. And all of the support is given by the state, and we are covering certain expenses to participate in such activities and go on these trips. So in summary, once again, let me reiterate that opportunities are numerous, both extended by our government and private organizations and international partners. And one of our tasks to handle right now will be to help to coordinate such a support and harness this support so that as many women can obtain this assistance directly and purposefully as it can possibly be done. So together with the Kyiv School of Economics, we'll be setting up a coordination board on the development of women entrepreneurship, where we will include all of the leading business associations, women entrepreneurs, and other partners. We will soon make an announcement about that in order to increase the number of such women entrepreneurship programs grow. Because we can see the statistic, and it attests to the need, which is pressing. And I would like to once again extend my gratitude to the Kyiv School of Economics, our international partners, the government of the UK for the support extended by you in this regard, and for the research that we have managed to handle together. And I'm more than sure that this will enable all of us to understand the real state of affairs, the needs and wants of women who would like to set up their own businesses or already running them. And it will generally give the proper understanding to the government what to do in order to make this support more efficient. Thanks a lot to all of you, and I wish all of you very fruitful work, for you to learn more awesome information, to get to know more about different support programs and opportunities. Oksana Stepanenko today with a Vidvajna program will be sharing about the programs that they're carrying out together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, so that you can participate in their follow-up fantastic activities. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. And now we are basically moving on to the main part of our agenda. Something that has attracted a great number of people for us to come today after having taken their morning coffee. I understand how difficult it was for you to get here. And now we would like to hear it from our speakers, women speakers, to present the results of their study. Please proceed onto the stage. Somehow everyone wants to stand next to me, next to the stage, other than be on the stage. Would you introduce yourselves, or should I do that? How will it be more gender correct to do that? Whichever way. I think that we will introduce ourselves, probably. We will take a liberty at doing that. Let us start with you, Nadia. Okay, naturally, good morning. It's a great pleasure to see everyone at this presentation today. My name is Nadia Zaritska. I'm the team leader of the organization called Apt Associates. We are implementers for Good Governance Fund. We are very happy to have arrived at this final point to present the results of our studies, which has taken us half a year. And I very much hope that the deliverables presented to you today will be helpful to all. Good morning. My name is Vlada Grudova. I'm the executive director of the Kyiv School of Economics, the think tank of the Kyiv School of Economics, KFC Institute, and we warmly welcome you today to the Kyiv School of Economics, just as Max have said. We are so grateful that you have come here in such an early hour to listen to the results of the study that will be presented to your notice today. I suppose that you can ask the questions at the end of the presentation. We will be bringing microphones to you, and it will be done very quickly, I hope. Let me briefly share about the context of the research and the methodology, and then we will move on directly to the results of the research. The results of this research have become part of the Good Governance Fund, funded by UK International Development, and that's something that was carried out in partnership with our tried and tested partners with whom we have been working for more than 4 years, the Ministry of Economy and Digital Transformation, Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office, and Kyiv School of Economics, which is our constant implementation partner, a long-standing one. Today we will be speaking about the social demographic portrait of the Ukrainian woman entrepreneur, who these women are, what they are. We'll also be sharing about the key problems of gender inequality, the needs and wants of women entrepreneurs, as well as focus on the issues of women that belong to different social groups, and as a must, we will mention recommendations and follow-up steps to take. Let me briefly share about the methodology of our study, which was specially developed as part of this project. Our target audience were female entrepreneurs in charge of micro, small, or medium-sized businesses, representatives of different regions of Ukraine. At the first stage of the study, we conducted some desk studies, desk research, and we communicated with the experts in this field. We also carried out 23 in-depth interviews with representatives of MSMEs, female entrepreneurs. A separate focus of our study was collecting information on the women, representatives of different social groups. We had to focus on 4 major groups, which were women IDPs, women with disabilities, women from rural areas, and a separate singled-out group was women veterans who are also running their own businesses. Unfortunately, the last group is the least numerous, and unfortunately it turned out to be the least accessible. We tried to reach out to these women via different NGOs, CSOs working with the women veterans. Yet, and regrettably, this was not very well represented in the sampling for our research, but we still had the representatives of that in the in-depth interviews, and we based a lot of our information and findings on that as well. At the second stage, we also had a quantitative online research. We had 476 interviews with respondents, and to crown it all off, additionally, with the recommendations of the experts, we also had 2 focus groups discussions with women entrepreneurs, focusing specifically on the issues of gender inequality issues, internal misogyny within the country of Ukraine, and we'll be happy to share this information. Some of this hasn't been included in our report, and we will be happy to share this report. It's turned out to be pretty comprehensive and long, but we are still planning to release a couple of publications based on the information that hasn't been included in the research.
With partners, we've collected a lot of data. It was really interesting. I do hope it will be interesting for you as well to listen to these results. Okay, Vlada. Yeah, thank you. If I may get that thing. Okay, so I will introduce the results of the survey itself. First of all, the portrait of the Ukrainian female entrepreneur, okay? What we got. I really want to express my big, profound gratitude to all 476 respondents. Thank you, and I do hope someone is listening to us today. You actually helped us a lot, you know, and that was really, really important. We're grateful for your time. So, a female entrepreneur, based on our survey, this is a woman, 36 years of average age, more than 6 years of experience of running one's own business, and representing micro, small, and medium businesses, the most vulnerable groups of business. Mostly started businesses with their own accumulated funds and unfortunately still uses credits and loans from banks. The majority of them do. And this woman knows very well of the programs of support, this average woman, and evaluates her knowledge highly, the knowledge she got learning by doing, yeah? The knowledge she got within her experience. So unfortunately has very low trust estate. Okay, so we'll talk about this. We'll show this in the statistics. And why do we have those figures specifically? All right, so first of all, we'll start with gender inequality. Unfortunately, in our survey, we identified that 57% of women who are entrepreneurs at least once had this manifestation of gender inequality that they faced. 11% out of those quite often. It's quite a horrible thing because this is sexual, verbal, or physical violence. It's a horrible thing, of course, 11%. But still, we'd like to talk today also that woman is basically not even perceived as an entrepreneur as a professional usually. You know that this is a crisis of perception. 23% spoke of this because our survey was concentrated on economic effect as well. So the result tells us that as of now, the state is losing a share of economic potential. It could have actually used because of underestimation. The entrepreneurship potential of women is underestimated basically in the country. So we'll talk in details about it in separate groups, but these are the key trends, key recent trends that we've had. The women's influence is growing, we understand that all, because we have active hostilities in the country, the full-scale invasion is still there, and so many men, unfortunately, are defending us at the front line. And with all those manifestations that we've listed, we'd like to challenge and overcome these in future course. So, the key problems that were identified. I'll have separate slides for these, but I just want to note the key aspects we'll discuss. First of all, as it was mentioned today, 85% of female entrepreneurs felt the influence of war, the economic situation, it worsened. For 44, this is the key factor that impacted them, the worsening economic situation for different groups of entrepreneurs, but in any group it's like this factor is the most substantial. 24%, and this indicator is growing for vulnerable groups. 24% feel the impact of these risks, meaning the blackouts, problems with utility services provision, and Kyivstar downfall. We are really grateful to them because they managed to survive the connection problems, and these factors still impact, put their impact on female entrepreneurs. 20% still mention this, like corruption. It's not the first time. One of the key factors, risk factors that they feel. 8% see lack of personnel as an issue. The majority of women mentioned that the gap, that they have the connection with our clients or suppliers, and this broken connection had more impact, more for women who relocated their businesses, for IDPs, and for women from villages. Yeah. So with the details a little bit now, first of all, what are the key current problems defined by women? As I said, the highest impact, economic, risks related to lack of resources, blackouts, but it's important to mention that a huge percent, well, like more than 20% even, like say that there is a problem with demand, problem with searching for new clients, problem with high competition, 30%, and these are the areas where the donors community can help, the state can help to develop businesses, because we all are interested in that. We all really want Ukraine's GDP GDP actually to grow, to at least reach the pre-war level, and even grow higher, of course. Today, this definitely has a lot of potential. So, a share of female businesses, a huge share of female businesses. So, these are the craftswomen. They perceive themselves as primarily professionals, those doing their job at the best level, so they have good products and good resources. Uh, the other part, the other group, let's say, female entrepreneurs, visionaries, we call them, women who, first of all, consider their business, who know that there's potential in their business development. They can even see the strategy. They are managers, they manage the personnel, they direct the business, they build the strategy. Today, it's really important to develop any SMEs. It's a huge foundation for economic development. And the problems that we mentioned in the report, we'd like to focus on these. We'd like you to pay more attention to it. This is like the spot where the supportive community and grants can actually become the solution. So, encouraging expert initiatives. That is really, really important to provide relevant support today. So, the impact of war that we studied within this survey and what we present in our analytical report. So, only 15% had no impact, as they mentioned. The well, 10% almost, they all stopped completely, 13% partially stopped their business. So we do realize that the share of entrepreneurs who functioned before the war, before the full-scale invasion, are not among the respondents. So it's like a survival's effect. And we understand that in Mariupol we had many female entrepreneurs in eastern regions as well. And today we lost them in terms of economy, let's say, yeah, in a broader scale, because as our previous speakers mentioned, so many of them relocated. They were saving themselves. So it's important for Ukraine to bring them back to economy, to bring back their capacity, knowledge, to engage their capacity to recovery process, to relaunch the enterprises or relaunch the services they provided, or even in a better format, of course. What we aspire. The majority of entrepreneurs mention the economic impact, even of the war. Fewer buyers. For example, the downfall of demand in general. And for us, it's important to underline in this case that this was not the purpose of the specific survey, but SMEs are very flexible. These enterprises can actually develop very fast. So, investing money in SMEs and supporting SMEs to find clients, supporting to promote, like the Made in Ukraine brand abroad, and trying to replace the imported goods with Ukrainian. This is something that can actually stimulate Ukrainian economy, and we do hope that it will stimulate Ukrainian economy to grow. Of course, in the report, you'll get some more details, much more information on what conclusions we made, like the key statistics, the difference between various groups, vulnerable groups, I mean, represented by female entrepreneurs in the report. So we actually encourage you to read the report. and provide your comments and recommendations, of course, after you read it. So, the key needs that were identified, I'll start with the left side. All right, so first of all, entrepreneurs mentioned that they would love to have the financial literacy course. Maybe this is an acceptable answer, but these qualities with three others that mentioned, so search for personnel, personnel management, and digitalization of business processes. These things in one package tell us that there is a need in systemic development. How to develop business systemically. So not just the skills that craftswomen set out as a priority, where they evaluate themselves highly, but just changing the status, uh, becoming a visionary entrepreneur, yeah? One who actually takes care of strategic development when it comes to her business. Many of them, of course, there was like a question because today entrepreneurs have so many roles in their own business. Yeah, these women. We can see the wish to be like a financial director and the HR manager and strategic development director. It's hard to combine all that in one package, of course, all these roles. So it's really important. Systematization of knowledge is important. It can help to improve substantially the situation for respondents. The quality of their business, first of all, and accelerate its development. Okay, let's talk just a couple of words for this. So, use of the capital. Okay, how did the business develop? How did it grow? And as we mentioned before, 70% of women use their own funds, their own capital, first of all, as a startup capital for business. So it's not that intimidating, but what's interesting? Many women mentioned that they didn't see a problem to start their business to start with like low capital level, but they mentioned that when the business was growing, if they had more money initially, what they mentioned, if they had more money, it would be more effective and better, let's say, yeah, in the process. So this is an interesting result. Why? Because, as Valeria said, many businesses today are launched by female entrepreneurs. It's a signal, basically, that we have to provide that startup capital opportunities in future. In a year or two or three, it can help our country to get another quality of business. We may actually expand that, and we can improve our development. So banking system is not used so intensely to develop business, and the key questions that we asked why. We ask women why don't you use bank products like the loans intensely or actively? I should mention that maybe it's not the gender issue, but the high interest rate, it's a problem for any enterprise, basically. So the program 579 and everything that the government provides as a support, it actually helps. But we still have to mention that among the female entrepreneurs, there were many answers given by them that there is certain bias, yeah, in terms of using the banking system. Female entrepreneurs don't trust banks, okay? They're more conservative in that matter. Let's say, well, compared to men in this case. So women are a little bit afraid of this. They're afraid that they won't be able to restructurize the loan if something goes wrong. They're afraid of bankruptcy or some sanctions, penalties when they use loans. So, in our opinion, There's a big window of opportunities for banks and for state in particular. Awareness raising programs, we have to educate them, to explain and to tell what opportunities the bank products do provide, that this can be used as a resource to develop business, first and foremost. Women who are IDPs, they mentioned that for them, there is one obstacle. There are no specific programs for women in banks. These are not simply provided. And many mentioned that there is no specific program for their sector, meaning for those areas in those sector represented by female entrepreneurs. Not many women actually mentioned another problem, quite a low percent. They cannot use they cannot use security, in this process. So what is the problem again? In the beginning of the 90s, there was this gap in the privatization process, the huge disproportion there was when we only became independent as a state. And I do hope we'll have more surveys in that matter, but this is something the state should think about. This is definitely a window of opportunities we can take, and we do see that there is a huge potential in it. We can cooperate with the financial sector eventually. So women have low level of trust to state. I mean, female entrepreneurs, not just all women. Let's be specific, okay? So we understand that, and we know 3.5 out of 10. Yeah, we can see it on the slide. So those women who have this newly established business up to 2 years, they have higher trust. They didn't communicate with the state 10 years ago, and they perceive the state better as a partner, let's say, or state agencies. They perceive, also who perceives the state agencies better? IDPs. Because they have to communicate with the state and other matters. For them, it's okay to talk to state representatives. It's like a habit. They don't have purely negative perception, okay? Just as a controlling body. Females who are members of associations perceive state better than those women who are not members of any association. Yeah? So it promotes dialogue, by the way, between the state and the citizens. It's important to mention that female entrepreneurs using DIA business today, they have higher level of trust to state compared to our respondents, like an average. It's important because this is a window for dialogue, as we call it. We are really grateful to donors supporting development of digital tools for the state to communicate with business. As we can see, it actually improves the perception of the state, first of all, for entrepreneurs, and it actually enhances the knowledge. People become aware of what the state actually can do. There's a huge potential as well, and still a lot of space to grow, a huge space to grow, because 22% of entrepreneurs said that they never knew of these resources. They weren't aware, and 30% use these partially or don't use it all or sporadically. Use is mostly for the consultations, to search for new ideas, search for financial opportunities, and these are some great examples on how the single window can be used.
With reference to support programs, in our research, the main conclusion that can be drawn is that regardless of the fact that there are quite a lot of different programs, as Valeria and Tatiana have said it previously today, still a great number of women haven't been covered with the knowledge about such programs' availability, especially in the rural areas. This potential for growth for usage is still so potent because the rural area is much less digitalized in general, and the Ministry of Digitalization has a lot of programs to cover the rural areas with the digitalization opportunities, and this offers a great potential to continue implementing different programs. It's also necessary to bust different barriers. Even in our research, when women entrepreneurs heard the word grant, for them it was an opportunity more for, not for them, but maybe for IDPs, not for a woman entrepreneur, not for a businesswoman, but this is meant most likely for someone different. So all of these barriers may be overcome from our perspective via different information awareness campaigns, via explanations. We are explaining that it's not that difficult to submit, to report. Digitalization of these instruments, unification of them, and making sure that everybody has equal opportunities to submit for these grant programs, targeted, purposeful programs that can reach out to directly these women who are based in the rural areas. Women who are IDPs will play a significant, crucial role from our perspective to make sure that female entrepreneurs will feel that these tools have been created specially for them, for their comfort and for their further development. Let me say a couple of words about business associations. Just as I have said, the level of trust in these associations is much higher if women are members of these associations, and if not, then this level of trust is very low with women entrepreneurs, because women believe that there are numerous associations that could represent their interests and alleviate their communication with the government. Therefore, on part of the donor organizations, it's also important for them to support the creation of associations which could combine the interests, collate the interests of such women, include possibilities for dialogue, proper communications, represent women in policy development, which is really significant also at the stage of implementing such policies. 31% believe that it's hard for them to opt for a particular association to join, while 16% consider that there is not a single association nowadays available that would be of particular interest for them. And let me say also a couple of words about the peculiarities of different groups, vulnerable cohorts of female entrepreneurs who have also figured in our research, who have been polled for the interests of our research. In the first place, the groups of women that are represented in the rural area, they feel much more acutely the economic crisis in our country nowadays, and they also feel much more acutely the additional burden that they have to carry as a result of their family life. Women from rural areas have stated that it's hard for them to recruit qualified and not qualified personnel. It's harder even than it is in urban area, and they also have a lot of different stereotypes in their responses. Another thing concerning the support programs, the knowledge about that arrives in rural areas even at a lower level than it is in the average of Ukraine. So that's something that needs to be dealt with, and resources have to be forwarded to training and explaining, informing women, especially the ones who are based in rural communities. They are less involved in training, educational programs. Therefore, it's something that requires further improvement in order to harness this economic potential to the fullest. IDP women in the cohort of female entrepreneurs, they are the ones who trust the government much more than the average women in Ukraine. And they also have to carry a heavier burden due to different family circumstances. It's harder for them to find funding because due to relocation and migration, they sometimes lose connections with their relatives or friends who could lend them some money for the development of their businesses. Therefore, they value opportunities to develop their businesses, and that's something that the government needs to target. They're interested to become members of business associations and enjoy the support delivered by associations that will positively improve their communication with the government. Another thing worth noting is that some of the polled expressed their concern about the specificity of the support programs, that they have to be created in a cautious, careful manner so as not to create additional pressure in relations with the population that has hosted them. Because this kind of inequality, let us face it, may also bring about some tensions in the midst of Ukrainians, and this needs to be avoided and explained clearly in the information awareness campaigns. As Nadia has stated, women veterans in this poll were the hardest for us to get through to, and we are very, very much appreciative of everyone who has participated on behalf of this cohort in our research, and we thank them sincerely for protecting and defending our country. The majority of women veterans, ex-military women, they are not even exes, they continue fighting, and in any communication with our donors, we have to point out that this group will definitely keep growing. That's something that needs to be catered to by providing different programs, and we have to prepare for that beforehand, given the fact that even though in our research we didn't have 100 or 1,000 such women to demonstrate the propriety of our conclusions in quantitatively, but still such support programs will be indispensable for these women in order to cater to their needs, the needs and wants that they will be coming back from the front line to business life, so different psychological relief programs, mental programs, especially when we talk about peer-to-peer veteran education. Women with disabilities, entrepreneurs, have reported that they require a lot more general support on behalf of the state, a lot of inclusive support that would enable them to get engaged more in a normal, productive life, and they would like the government and the country to pay a greater deal of attention to this aspect, thus allowing them to maintain and support doing their businesses on a par with everyone else. So these are the main points and highlights which we have been able to explore via our research. Let me say a couple of things concerning recommendations that we have to offer as conclusions to our research. In the first place, we would like to share number one. All of the support programs have to be personalized and well communicated. They need to target the needs and wants that have been well studied in line with the groups of population, and depending on where these people are based, the peculiarities of the people's perceptions of these programs. Another important aspect to highlight is that people have to be explained to that grants need and have to be utilized, that they have been created especially for you, and you have to provide illustrations, perhaps use associations or other tools to get through to women via different pathways so that you can get through to these women entrepreneurs, to less digitalized walks of life and cohorts, We need to improve and increase access to credit and providing specialized programs to women, and of course reduce the bias which unfortunately is there in the banking system with reference to female entrepreneurs. Of course, we need to increase the number of targeted programs and make sure that gender balance is maintained. Also, systemic dialogue can and has to be utilized as much as possible. The communication with business association and business ombudswoman would be a likely idea to be established. Developing the infrastructure, the single window, one-stop window, where all of these programs gather together, because it allows women not to get lost and take advantage of all of the resources available, pick and choose from the vast range of the opportunities in order to take advantage of the and utilize the support which is coming not only from the government but from our international allies. Also improve the communication with business associations and, of course, set up information campaigns. Once again, if we revert to our first slides, it's worth noticing that in the language about gender inequality, gender barriers, women somehow perceive them more as legalistic norms, something that has been set out on paper in laws, but they use very little this gender dictionary terms, applying it to themselves. So we have to explain, it's vitally important to explain where the borderline runs, what is discrimination, what's not, to avoid the cases where the society will take it as a norm. But on the contrary, we have to approach the society with a fully eliminated gender discrimination approach and looking at the whole picture pragmatically, something that we began by talking right at the very beginning. Eliminating the effect of gender discrimination, which results in underutilization of economic resources available in our country, is a must. We have to channel all of our efforts towards victory, and what makes it important for us to gain this victory in the best interests of our future is to support sustainability of our economy, supporting our female entrepreneurs and their development, and making sure that they can operate in the most favorable, conducive environment, because they have to get 100% available opportunities that we have right now in place. So we have to keep building, keep fighting, and keep winning. Thank you very much indeed. Now I would like to give the floor to Nadia for her to mention some of the plans that the UK government has in response to the research presented to you today. Thank you very much, Vlada. Thanks a lot for introducing the results of the study. I would like to underscore that overcoming gender inequality and social inclusion are indubitably the priority for UK international development and all of the funds supported by the UK government. And I would like to thank our unchangeable partners, the Ministry of Economy, the Ministry of Digitalization, Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office, the School of Economics, so sharing our visions. And luckily, we already have a few projects and initiatives that we have launched together with our partners, founded on the recommendations and the results of the study that have underscored the propriety and relevance of these initiatives. First of all, this is the development of the strategy for sustainable development and transformation of small and medium-sized businesses through 2027. With that, we have supported the Ministry of Digital Development and Ministry of Economy. And when working on this initiative, we have been using all of the recommendations concerning inclusion and fighting gender inequality, something that has been developed by the OECD organization, something that includes inclusive approach of women entrepreneurs, women veterans, people with disabilities, senior people, elderly people. So These have become targeted funding programs, also quotas for benefit, credit issuance, and some training programs. Another important initiative was the establishment of the coordination group to support female entrepreneurship with a focus on digitalization. In this respect, I would like to thank Valeria Ianan and Andrei Remezov for supporting this initiative issued by us, and we hope that in the month of February we will launch this group. We will have the first working meeting, and I hope that this working group will become a platform for cooperation between the government and representatives of donor programs, civil society organizations, and female entrepreneurs. In particular, also in October last year, we launched an interesting program with an inspirational title called Grow. This is a pilot program for us, and within the framework of this pilot, we are supporting 15 women entrepreneurs, and we will be very much happy to invite you to our forum of female entrepreneurship that will be held in Kyiv on the 1st of March. It will be a public event, and we will be happy to share the registration link with all of the attendees of today's event, and we very much hope to see you there again. Thank you, and now we are getting the mic back to Maxime. Thanks a lot for your presentation. Again, be reminded that this representation will be disseminated to all who have registered with us today, and the study itself, the link to it, in the nearest future will become available on the site of the Kyiv School of Economics. Definitely, we will do all we can in order to support it with the information awareness campaigns. We will be happy also to our counterparts in the government of Ukraine for disseminating that. Perhaps you on your platforms and your resources will be interested to discuss it. Naturally, we are ready to do all we can to support your efforts. Now, something that we would like to broach on is to discuss these results, the ideas presented to you, maybe to hear some constructive criticism, objections. We would like to hear real representatives of female businesses. And we are inviting some of these business representatives up here on the stage. We need some more chairs, if you please. Please, organizers, get some more. I'll take this black one. Super. I will be towering above you on this high stool, sitting here in the corner. I suppose we have the sufficient number of the chairs. Thank you. In order to highlight the present attendees and the women who will be presenting right now. In the first place, I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone who has taken their time and has come here, taking this time away from their businesses to get involved in our discussions. I very much hope that this is the time which you will use most effectively, because first of all, we would like to make sure that all of you present here in this room and all of you watching us offline, representatives of government institutions, you have to hear the voice of the real businesses. Whether it be men or women's voices, it's always a must for you to hear from the horse's mouth. So now is a fantastic opportunity for you to do exactly that. And secondly, we would like your examples, dear ladies, to inspire the women who are still thinking about to become entrepreneurs, who are dreaming about that, who are already businesswomen and get faced with a variety of issues, thinking that their problems are unique and others have never been face to face with such one, whereas others are also enjoying a happy end like it usually happens in Hollywood movies, whereas reality is somewhat different.
So I repeat, I do hope that this time that you'll invest in particular, and also in establishing the whole support ecosystem. Okay, so I would love to get first of all your reflections to respond to those insights we had on the survey, your like personal experience. So I'll introduce you step by step. Everyone we have on the panel, our panelists, and we'll try to make it as interactive as we can as a dialogue, all right? So we'll start with Alexandra Stepanenko, Deputy Director of State Enterprise, Entrepreneurship and Export Development Office. So, a person in the panel who's responsible for the interface of cooperation between business and the state. So, Alexandra, I place a double burden on you, not just telling about good stuff, but the whole criticism and all those radical proposals and everything is going to fall on you today. So yeah, we're really glad to have Yulia Nichvolada, who's the owner of the Jukes Coffee coffee shop that was recovered in Bucha after the occupation, after the town was liberated. And Yulia was the winner of accelerating program for women, Vidvajna, or the brave. So yeah, she knows everything about those challenges. I do hope she'll give us information about how the women's leadership and entrepreneurship are supported by state. So you'll give some positive examples to us. So Yulia Chekalova, the owner of the network of dental clinics 119, founder of the company My Favorite Tool Space. So she launched the production of organic toothpaste in Kharkiv. After the invasion, she relocated the manufacturing to Ivano-Frankivsk, respectively. What she shows us, what she demonstrates, that relocation of business during the full-scale invasion is possible. Well, of course, it's quite a difficult thing to do. Yulia also used the consulting services Dear Business on Frontiers program as well. So here we will have a detailed conversation. Like when it comes to consulting, what is realistic for the state to provide? What the state can teach when it comes to business? Because previously I was so skeptical about those stories like the state officials will tell me how to live, how to build my business. I was pretty skeptical about it previously, but it's quite possible that maybe the state is changing, and you know, like my opinion of 2015 can be obsolete already. Yeah. So, Lieutenant Pavaluk, vegan sweets brand owner, Vemway. During the war, she started making some healthy confectionery. The Vazna Accelerator was there. 350,000 hryvnias of grant she took, and very inspiring success story. At our previous event of Dia Business, I had a chance actually to see your sweets. I had no chance to taste that, unfortunately, because when I brought that back home, you know, my wife just gave me no chance, you know, so even before I managed to do that, but I ordered a new batch. Thank you. Yeah. So I do hope that next time I'll share my personal impression of this. All right. Olena Stritovich, director of LLC Organic Milk, and she was the active user of our services. The opportunities state provided at fair trades like in the Middle East. So Olena is leading a couple of enterprises producing organic products, and she's at the stage now when export is quite a huge focus for business. And actually, this is one of the sectors we quite often speak of that the state has to do something. So it would be really nice to get your opinion, honest opinion, if the state is actually doing something in this sector. All right. Yeah, so after this inspiring introduction and enthusiastic introduction, I'd like to step closer to maybe Alexandra. Let's start with you, okay? Maybe you can tell us a little bit more on what actual services are provided by your office, yeah, by your state enterprise. What is provided here and now to those people listening to us, yet, or an audience? If someone wants to do it, what can they start Googling now and start searching while we're talking? Okay, Maxim, thank you so much for this introduction. First of all, I'm grateful to all the participants of this event and my panelists sitting next to me, of course. It's so great that I opened this panel as a person who is supporting SMEs and promoting export. We're grateful for your participation in the programs together with Ministry of Digital and DIA Business Network. I'd like just to reflect a little bit upon this, on the survey. Yeah, it was mentioned, all the proper things were mentioned, the key services used by entrepreneurs, DIA portal. Yes, first of all, consultations. If you previously did not use that, please, we encourage you. Just this is free of charge, okay? We have these consultations provided in various areas or categories like tax support, legal support, sales, marketing, and we also filter information for various target audiences: female entrepreneurship, social enterprises, veterans business. For the target audience, when they don't have enough time to find information in the portal very fast, we encourage you to do it. Not the state officials actually give those consultations, no, not those bureaucrats, but yeah, SMEs. The practitioners, those with 3 or more years of experience, and experts in specific sectors, they actually do it. So, we invite you warmly. We already have more than 14,000 consultations provided on the platform, and out of these, more than 65% are women. Since 2022, this trend is just growing. And as Andrei said previously, the audience of the portal, 65 plus percent, I mean, these are women, the same trend we have in the consultations. Free of charge educational tools at Edutem platform, online school for entrepreneurs. The first course we started, 10 steps to your own business, that was the course for women mostly, yes? So we help women actually to understand what should they develop, like how to increase their financial literacy, how to use that in their activities, and so on. Together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, using DIA Business Network, we try to implement these acceleration programs, grant programs. In 2023, we had this Vidvazna program launched, by the way. Yeah, we have some of our colleagues in the panel as well from the program, and more than 5,000 participants, ladies who had this mentorship and educational support, financial literacy, HR, marketing, and so on. We selected 16 finalists, and they had a pitch day in summer 2023. Their ideas were pitched, or business projects, and 6 winners we had with 1.3 million hryvnias with visa support were provided to them. Business is supporting us. We work not only with donors, business. I'm grateful to partners helping us to implement these. Soon we'll have the second iteration. Yeah, Vidvazna 2.0 in spring. So please check the updates. If you weren't the participant of the first iteration, you can now, you're warmly invited, your friends, grab them and just, yeah. Because we have to get this community of the alumni. With the use of DIA Business Network, we've launched the Pochatok program for women, micro business first of all, female entrepreneurs with some physical injuries or some disabilities, female veterans, all the vulnerable categories, yeah, of women. We actually engage them as an audience. More than almost 4,000 participants we had, and we still continue the course. In spring we'll have the completion of program. The total fund of the program is huge compared to previous, 22.5 million hryvnias. 200 participants will get the funding. I'd just like to know that our entrepreneurship support centers, 12 of these are there, 2 directors of centers are men, others are women. Women are very proactive in regions. Each center, depending on the region and functioning, is telling that from 66 and more percent of the center visitors, so more than 66% are women. Yeah? Yes, women are proactive. Of course, we know from the survey that remote areas and villages are a little bit more vulnerable, but still, it's quite a huge impact. Almost every month, we announce new international trade fairs. Now we're preparing to visit Germany, and I recommend you to check the news to stay in touch because women are fully entitled to take part, and that especially in martial law conditions. Yeah, women have a lot of responsibility and huge focus because sometimes some companies cannot even go abroad because they have male teams, so women can actually take that mission and represent Ukraine abroad. Ukrainian businesses, Ukrainian products. Thank you so much. To have this double-sided reflection, we really say yes to feedback, any feedback, even if this feedback is not that pleasant. Okay, we really are ready to get everything, all the proposals and comments to improve the quality of services. Thank you. Thank you as well. Okay, questions. Let's have these after all the speeches. We'll have some time for questions. We'll be so grateful to have this conversation, and then informally, of course, with coffee and some tasty stuff. All right. Yeah, feedback is important. Yulia, coming to you. You have experience. I guess I don't think there is any business which would love to get that type of experience. What you've grown in their own hands, it was completely destroyed due to Russian aggression, but you managed to recover it, like from the scratch. So it's interesting for me in the context of, well, speaking of those results that we heard, like your participation in the Vidvazna program and the trainings. This is quite unique. It's relatively unique, not even for female entrepreneurs, but for the business in general. Mostly problems are like external. People say that the state is bad, the banks are bad, logistics is bad, partners are bad, everything is bad. It's more of externally, yeah? So your example is, I'm interested in that. Did you manage to learn something that helped you practically, not theoretically? We all know what concepts, we all know this concept that it's better to know than not to know. But in business, did it help you? Greetings to everyone. I'm so happy that I was the participant of a Vidvazna accelerating program. I actually didn't want to get the grant, I wanted to get knowledge. Yes, I'm an economist. This is my degree, but it was 18 years ago when I graduated. So for some time I've been there at a big enterprise, employed there. I already had some experience. But speaking of the coffee shop, well, time is changing. We have to adapt to new reality eventually. So Vidvazna course gave me this confidence, that I'll be able to lead, I'll be able to develop my business. Unfortunately, we reimbursed everything, we covered everything at our own expense using our family budget because, well, back then, in 2022, we had only the accommodation support from state. We'll realize that, yeah, if you have nowhere to live, nobody even speaks of the coffee shop. Like, okay, who needs a coffee shop if people don't have a house? So we simply did not have clients. People left. It was hard. Thank God, with the support of the state, finally now people are returning to Bucha. They have the accommodation support from the state. It's evolving, and so now we hear about Bucha, but not in the context of these tragic events, but about development, more development context. And we even get some awards. I hear of some sport competitions all the time and like financial support programs, some grants. I hear of that all the time. So my grant, okay, I had 150,000 hryvnias. My project that I told about with $100,000, that was the budget for the project. When I was defending it in front of the jury, they said your project is ready for crediting, but what I faced later, I applied for a 579 program. Nobody is interested in the project itself, in the business project. What can you secure it with? A premise without kids. I have 5 kids. The eldest one is 18. 4 of them still are minors. Okay, I can't secure like this loan with my premise, with my house. So they ask, what is the purpose? I say to recover to my building that was completely destroyed. We don't give money for reconstruction because you can't reconstruct it if you just use it to secure the process. Okay, it must be a brand new car. If everyone had a brand new car, why people need a loan then? Okay. So this is the reality. This is the reality. We had problems. I had problems, and still we have. So another issue. Something I learned in Vidvazna program. We have to be very creative. We have to adapt all the time as entrepreneurs. We have to use something that we have. I have a big responsibility for my team, for their wages, for the taxes paid. So if I close my coffee shop or reconstruction process, it will last like 6-7 months. People will have no job. I can't do that. I'm a mom. I'm an owner of the business. I'm responsible for my people. So we are already on this track. We want to open another coffee shop. When we open that one, I can start the reconstruction and I relocate my team. They have the jobs and I like have my income. All right. So the problems we had more bureaucratic, type the documents. You have to go to self-governance bodies, to local authorities. You don't know where to go, where to start from. I would love to stress, that it's not only the knowledge, the financial knowledge, marketing knowledge we need. How to get rid of that fear when you talk to officials, okay? Whom to talk to, like, who should be the contact person? Everybody thinks like, okay. We all sometimes think that there are gorillas sitting in offices, but we don't. I've paved the way. Like 5 months. In 5 months, I got the license, the agreement, and then I can actually start doing that when we finally get the proper weather. Next time, I'll be able to help my our business community, maybe, that we already managed to establish, and all the time we have this communication with girls from Vidvazna, and we've made a good collaboration with each other, like with Valentina, and we like still collaborate, and I sell her confection in my coffee shop with girls who are architects and designers. Someone is making furniture, metal constructions, like all the time we try to help each other. This is really mutually beneficial, and it's like a big benefit, a big bonus, let's say, even after the program is already complete. It would be so cool, I'm an IDP. I am a mom of 5, so this 579 program may be loans to be provided to certain categories. It would be really useful because still something to improve. Because I faced it myself, in the end of 2023, when bank already saw how successful am I now, I got this offer, the 7% proposal I got from the bank, also to have it secured, but again, just for the plot, for the land plot, they agreed to do it, but 5 checks. 5 checks. So you have to negotiate with one company which will fully reconstruct it alone, overpaying at the same time. But then eventually you'll change the roof, the windows, you'll replace like the furniture, whatever. It's hard. These limitations, they don't help actually. Yeah. And as a mom, I'd like to say we want women to grow and to improve. But where will the kids go?
Of course, there are some private kindergartens, nursing schools, which are 15 to 20,000 hryvnias worth. And if you have 5 kids, you can imagine that you have to multiply it by 5 times. We moved to Bucha 5 years ago, and this was the time when I had my 5th child. And we joined the queue, and we still haven't been able to go to the kindergarten. And this year, my child will be going to school, to secondary school. So I'm forced to take my child to a private kindergarten. But I could have channeled this money to the development of my business, and I couldn't do that. Thank you very much indeed. I have picked up a lot of clear and obvious things for a lot of Ukrainians. That Bucha is not only a cool recovery example in Ukraine, and Vokzalnaya Street is posted so much online, showing the way it was before and after. But you're perfectly right that a great number of issues revolve around infrastructure as such, not so much in terms of entrepreneurship, but the infrastructure that allows for freedom. And I know that the parliamentarians in Rada of Ukraine have been speaking a lot about tax exemptions concerning being able to take children to free kindergartens, studies for kids at schools, and I hope they will hear it from you. Your example has really been a very vivid illustration. I hope that those issues that you have shared about the improvement of 579 banking program will also be in the focus of our statesmen's attention, because we have also analyzed a lot of that in terms of the complication of the procedure, etc. And training, you see, colleagues, you're supposed to teach people not only finance and marketing, but also set up special training programs to teach people to cooperate with the Ukrainian government. This is not always talked about, but sometimes this is really hard and demanding. So thanks a lot for your interesting insights you have shared. Now, Yulia, in the context of IDPs, something that we would like to tackle right now, this example of relocation. No, Yulia. Just because you had to move from Kharkiv to Ivano-Frankivsk, from east to the west of Ukraine with the most complicated equipment, it's not something that can be easily pocketed or carried by hand. Can you tell us what you are still missing on part of the government? What is lacking? Are there any specific issues, problems that you have been confronted with regard to relocation? How easy was it for you to get settled in a new place, hosting community? Thank you very much. I am a dentist from Kharkiv. My child has an asthma. My child is 13-year-old, and this is how I came up with the production of toothpaste. Before the war, 3 months before the hostilities ensued, I had bought a big land plot. It was a great attainment. For me, it was a huge building where I had been planning to set up something like a Willy Wonka chocolate factory. But then the war broke out, and for personal reasons, I hadn't been planning to leave, but I had to. I have a pretty successful dentistry. Sorry for being so not very shy, but at the time I had to move. I had more than 5,000 patients, and the clinic was more than 5 years old. And in the first months of war, we had a lot of problems with children and adults, just because people had been going to basements where it was damp, moist. So people had problems with their teeth, and another problem was broken teeth, because people clenched their teeth when, unfortunately, they had been shelled or bombarded, and teeth would break. So I had such requests, and I had to understand that I had to continue my operations in the first months of the war, and we had to resume our operations in Kharkiv. And as we were aligning our work, I came to understand that the major value, because prior to that I had been thinking that it's your creative thinking, it's the money, but now I understand that the major value is human beings, the people that work for you, human life. Because when I went to pick up my child all the way across the country to another country, all of my team, except 2 people who had moved outside Ukraine, they still went out to treat patients still being shelled in Kharkiv. At that time, we still didn't have a generator in place, so when we had power outages, these people would turn on electric flashlights, and they would use common syringes, except instead of electric appliances. So they continue working in my clinic, and this year we're going to celebrate 7 years since its establishment. For me to show my position of strength and power, in December, just a month ago, I set up another clinic in Kharkiv, and now we are running 2 clinics. So getting back to your question, when I began to pay all of my attention to the dentistry and the requests to do with that, trying to move all of the equipment, the people who wouldn't believe in us, and I didn't know that there were offers issued by Ukrposhta providing us funding. With my own funding, I had to relocate all of the equipment. The production, of course, I couldn't relocate. Everything was looted and plundered in the time of my absence from Kharkiv. So because our patients had moved across the full border of Ukraine, we began to work in Ivano-Frankivsk. In September last year, I set up my own clinic in Kyiv, in Volodymyrska Street, and now I have 4 dentistries. Before the war, I had 32 employees working for me and with me. Now we are nearly 100. So, but for Kharkiv, I wouldn't have been able to do it in my dearest life. So it seems like the equipment, when it had been all plundered in Kharkiv, and I had no money to borrow from anyone. This was the only thing that I hadn't done, borrowing money from my husband. I didn't know where to borrow money from. I had this procrastination. I was based at the time in Kyiv with my friends, and I was suggested to go and meet Andrei Remezov. To cut a long story short, I would like to thank you and Valentina Leshenko and Dear Business, because when I came to them, I didn't know anything, because there was no equipment in place, and I basically didn't know how to start working, but my team was still here, based in Ukraine. You said it right, Yulia, that we are responsible for ourselves, for the people. No equipment, but I cannot just stand still or sit on my hands without the equipment. And they began to provide different advice and telling me that I had to submit for grants. The first grant I won was from the Danish Council to 600,000 hryvnias, and I was able to buy the first equipment to mix toothpaste for cats and dogs. You won't believe it, but anyway, you have to make ends meet and survive. And we made the first salaries for my employees. 80% of the people who had made this toothpaste for the marketing, for Instagram, as a private label for businesses with their brand names on it, 80% of these people had moved outside Ukraine. So we started to look for these clients again, and soon we will be certified at the expense of this grant for Europe. And due to Valentina, I get to learn a lot about export possibilities, because I lack this knowledge substantially. Nowadays, if you're flexible, your team will be just as flexible. So we begin to produce not only toothpaste, but anything for tooth cavity, rinsers, balms for lip balms, different kinds of lollipops, but not with sugar. Understandably, they're different in content. We began to produce lubricants both for the military personnel and for the shops that you immediately started thinking about, because we care about cavities in all respects. Then we started making vinegar-based products. So we had the funding available. This is what we are helping the military with. I try to go through all training programs that I can and have time for, so the same goes for my team. But there's one snag. I have nothing to complain about, and I mustn't complain, and I don't want to share about what had been broken. I have all things proper, but any kind of expert training, and I try to motivate my team to go through this training so that we can have some money or at least knowledge coming our way to start going through these experts. Some people reject it because either they want to understand whether or not they will receive the money to feed their families. But this training takes up a lot of time. It doesn't continue just 1 or 2 weeks, much longer than that. Most surely something that I lack is just one thing, to make sure that this training, even if I have to pay for it, someone needs to take my employee or a group of employees from different businesses and see them through all the way to the first contract. Because when people keep studying and being trained, you probably have been faced with the same situation when you have to find sales managers. It's a very difficult thing to go through. This manager costs crazy money. Sometimes I don't get such money per month, or these people know nothing how to make sales. Average, something in between, is not something that I have been able to face. Most of the time, they're not looking for employment opportunities. So that's what I lack, probably just like I was lacking this knowledge back at the time when I had to relocate and I didn't know about Ukroposhta. But the people have to understand this is where they began, this is where they were studying, and this is the final point. The rest of it, we have a whole lot of different fantastic opportunities. I couldn't have ever imagined that I would end up having 4 clinics and even a production facility. It looks more like an IT office rather than Willy Wonka factory, but it's not, now I'm in a much better situation than before the war. That's all from me. Thank you ever so much. It's a most inspirational example. Toothpaste for animals. This is so critical. I have a toy terrier that has a problem with teeth. Therefore, I very well understand what you are dealing with. Thank you for caring about our pets. Look, after having listened to you, I'm drawing my own conclusion. We have to give it a thought about expanding funding programs for SMEs for recovery purposes, because your case clearly demonstrates very specific and successful stories of the cases of the businesses that have been affected by war. And I will be very much happy to communicate with you more in depth, just to make sure that this is one of our areas of our project, which is extending help to the people in development of the strategies targeting SMEs. It's something which is already publicly posted on the site of the Ministry of Economy, and I suppose that your example is exactly one that the government needs to, and the whole society needs to keep in the focus of. And concerning the videos, texts, and practical assistance for study purposes, learning purposes, I think it's a very interesting idea. As I've always enjoyed the fact that about Ireland, they have rings of excellence. Don't know even how to translate that properly into Ukrainian. I think it's just like mutual support or information experience sharing when companies join efforts in a particular area to share some practical experience, possibly even in the area of sales. That's why probably the promotion office, I suppose that you should be interested in this accelerator Vidvazhna, Brave, in terms of setting up something like a community, because I guess it's an awesome and highly inspirational story to tackle further. So now let's take it from dentistry and toothpaste all the way to organic sweet making, candy making. I suppose that this is not harmful to teeth, but very helpful. Understandably, you should have some experience in terms of learning, gaining grant money. So what could you possibly advise women during the war who are thinking right now whether it's right or wrong to set up their own businesses? Because before the war, it hadn't been easy. During the war, it's even a greater challenge. So how realistic, how feasible is it? Thank you very much. My name is Valentina. Thank you for this introduction. Oh, it's the air alert announcement. But still, I would like to start my intervention by extending my gratitude to Dear Business. But for them, I wouldn't be sitting here. This is the major outcome of all of my studies and learning, because I had been thinking about establishing my own business a few months before the war ensued. I wanted to set up my own business because I was working as an English teacher, and just because I am mindful of health, and I was a potential procurer of my own production. I would buy production made by my competitors. An announcement about an air alert. Please proceed to the bomb shelter. So I would buy products made by my competitors, and I disliked that. And at one point, I even said it to my lady friend, why can't they make it right? And she joked, and she said, so do it yourself. I laughed about it, and then I took it closer to my heart, and it got me thinking on this project. Then the war broke out. I did not relocate. I did not leave Ukraine, but I moved to my native town in Chernivtsi for 3 months. And I remember one day when I decided to myself, no, I have to start my own idea. It was when Bucha was deoccupied. I saw these pictures. I'm very much emotional. I was angry, sad, aggressive, very mixed feelings indeed. I sat down and wrote to my lawyer. I already had a lawyer in those days. I had been preparing even before the war. I said to him that I'm going to start a trademark, so what does it take me to do? I immediately moved to Kyiv after having taken that decision. I got registered as a private entrepreneur. I knew that this is what I had to do if I wanted to run my own business. I immediately got a grant, Є робота. I procured the equipment, I bought the packaging, I've recruited my personnel, so everything was up and running, ready. All I had to do was just to launch my operations, but there was a snag. I didn't know how to start. I had it all, but I lacked knowledge and expertise. I tried to sell B2C, which was expensive. I wasn't even thinking about B2B segment. And in fact, within 2 months, I had exhausted all of my personal resources trying to build my business and get it to work. All of my employees had to be dismissed, and I didn't know what to do. I was desperate. I was still working as an English teacher, and in this desperation, I saw this announcement about the recruitment for the enrollment for a Vidvazhna accelerator program. I immediately resigned as a teacher. I called him and I said, I resign here and now because I have to go for a training program. So I made a submission. I was immediately enrolled, and honestly speaking, I was so exuberant, I was so ecstatic. It was a very good shock. For me, the first day I came there, I was even more overwhelmed, because when I came there, I was so desperate. I didn't have a specific request to formulate. But over a while, when I started to study, when things began rolling for me, I came to understand I knew nothing. I was lacking this expertise. I could sell not only B2C, but B2B. I obtained expertise which is priceless, which enabled me to scramble up on my own feet. And when studying in this accelerator program, I started gaining my own profits, and I started getting my first B2B clients. And the only thing that I was lacking closer to the end of it was, of course, financing to implement all of the ideas that I had obtained as a result of studies. And when I won, actually, that day has come down in my memory, has been engraved in my memory. people were writing and writing to me, and I was shedding tears, I was crying, I was beyond myself and ecstatic, because I came to realize that I was empty-pocketed, I had nothing. I was at the very bottom, having reached the bitter end, and now all I have to do is just roll up my sleeves and work.
I'm extremely grateful. My income has grown tenfold. I don't want to export the products due to, well, it's quite perishable, but I want to develop internally in the internal market. I think it's about time to develop business. Uh, a 21-year-old girl with a interpreter's diploma, I managed to run this confectionery business. Dear Business Grant, Yerobota, it's the state support. If I manage to do it with zero knowledge, anyone can. You know, any idea can be just turned into reality, because state needs us now. Before, the war was a good thing, a great thing to open your business. Now, our taxes hold the economy. We're the backbone of economy. We have to provide support to our defenders via taxes, and I think that it's always a relevant thing to think of the state future, build that future. Despite that this future is vague, doesn't matter. We've almost had, you've seen that from January 2nd, something was burning in Kyiv. That was very close to my premise, but everything was, yeah, but still it's okay. Even when I didn't know what happened, cameras were off, it was a blackout, I thought, like, what will I do if? E-recovery, the program, what can we do? Even when I thought that my warehouse was destroyed, I still was looking for solutions how to recover. It's the time. If someone listening and watching us now, if you have ideas, if you want to have a push from a higher force, higher power, okay, the state can help you. Forget about those stereotypes that state does not help. No, 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 no. We have success stories. We have these cases. They're in the wild. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we have Meek flying around. So I think we will all just go to the basement for networking. But okay, Olena, I really, really must pass the floor to you just to finish briefly. Export. And we will all run to the basement networking to drink coffee there and to have questions and answers. I remember that. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elena. I'll be very brief, super brief. Well, this is my destiny today, but looking at these young, strong, wonderful women, I think soon we will have men gathering in piles and starting speaking like, oh, the gender policy, what should we do? Can we get some support for men exclusively? We are discriminated heavily. Yeah, that's what we're gonna get, because first of all, women are stronger. Women are caring. Any business any woman is handling, she will do it better. She will organize it better, in a better way, in a more honest way. Okay, I have nothing, like, I don't have any negative attitude towards men. I love you all as well, but still, trust me. Believe my words. Okay, a couple of words of the companies I own and lead. A vertically integrated complex of companies handling organic agriculture, processing, and so on. Not one of the biggest, but the biggest vertically integrated organic business in Ukraine. The biggest in Europe, because there's no such scale, you know, you won't find it elsewhere. So what, oh, you know what our products are. If you don't, please, you can taste it actually. Organic milk. I think you've all seen those. So we produce it with a motto from the beginning to the end, with a responsibility for the future, for the kids, responsibility for our health and environment. Because if we are sick as a nation, there's no future for the state and for the nation. This is the first thing, well, this is the foundation of any activity that we perform. So, what are our challenges? What challenges we had? Our target client like approximately 10 million of our clients left abroad, and we felt on our skin how drastically the scope fell. So the volumes fell. So I never planned. I would never do that. I would never plan. But almost 2 years ago, I started looking for export markets. Uh, there is enough of organic bio product in Europe, but still entering Europe with Ukrainian products. For me, that 2 years ago, that seemed to be something totally unreal for me, but we had to do it. We had, and we started doing that. So, what I just want to tell you, everybody says how good the office is, but it's not just empty praising. There is something we have to praise them for. We visited so many trade fairs, with the support of the office. Okay, we've had so much support. We saved so much money. Eventually, as a bank expert, this is my second degree, let's say, or second specialty apart from the agribusiness. So I started for 15 years. I've been in banking business. I led Raiffeisen in the region. So I just want to tell you, compared to what we had before many years ago and what we have now, state is a super helpful assistant. It's an ally. We've never had that before. Supporting enterprises, getting any grants. I use these grant tools so extensively. 579 with the support of banks. My 4 enterprises are actively accredited. There are no problems at all. Maybe because I know how it works, okay? Meaning the bank procedures. So getting a credit is simple. You just have to stick to all the details. You have to clarify all the details, and it's gonna be okay. Current opportunities to run your business and to establish an enterprise, it's much, much better than we had like 10 years or 15 years ago. My gratitude to the state and to you in particular. So I can talk for hours. I have a lot to say, but I really want us all to stay safe. So I guess we just have to leave and hide. Thank you so much for this invitation. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much. Colleagues will show us where to go. We have this beautiful basement, or the bomb shelter as we call it now. Thank you for your sour cream. We think this is like the best we tasted ever. Thanks. Let's have our networking and question answer session in the bomb shelter. Yeah, nobody will steal your cakes, all right? We're gonna stay here.